Well, I'm Daniel White. I'm from Brandon, Mississippi, and we started Crappie Forever a couple of years ago. Well, it was about, I can't remember now.
About 2 years ago now.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, almost to the day. I was at home relaxing, and Gabe called me with an idea, and it just blew up from there. I still blame him for it.
Yeah.
So it's another full-time job, but we love it. We just started we fish a lot of small lakes in Arkansas where Gabe lives, 2,000-3,000 acre lakes. And we had been crappie fishing 3 or 4 or 5 years and started spider rigging. And then of course, as soon as Live Scope came out, we were getting on it. And immediately, I mean, really within less than a year, just really started seeing a big fish population in these smaller reservoirs just take a hit. I mean, it was pretty drastic. That's kind of how the whole idea started. What could we do? And we had already seen a couple of Crappie Connection podcasts that Patrick Stone and Carlos Willis did one, and they were talking about the same thing at Grenada, how they're starting to see it. And the idea of catch and release was starting to come about. And what can we do to help do that? And that was kind of the beginning, and it has morphed into just helping the crappie industry, period. You know, structure, research, just outreach to charity organizations, just whatever we can do through fishing to help people and to help the industry, basically.
So, Daniel, what's your day job?
I own an electrical business, a commercial electrical business here in Brandon, Mississippi. And I also am a partner in a pond management company here in central Mississippi. And we stock ponds and lakes. I think our biggest one is close to 200 acres, and manage bass, crappie, brim, catfish, whatever the client wants, fertilizing and electrofishing and stuff like that too. And my other partner, he's a fisheries biologist. So I'm not a fisheries biologist, but I've been around him so long, I claim to be one half the time.
And Gabe, how about yourself?
Yeah.
I actually work for a hardwood flooring distributor based out of Memphis. I do all the sales work for the state of Arkansas pretty much for that, selling the contractors and stuff. Do that when I'm not fishing.
Yeah, you know, I find out it's very interesting that, you know, we all have a passion for crappie, but it's not really paying all the bills. So we have to spend our time. I work at a nuclear power plant here in Mississippi. I've gotten, can't remember how many years, 32, 33 years there. So I'm just waiting for retirement so I can make crappie fishing full time. But, you know, this is the real life of a lot of crappie fishermen, that you can't do this every day. This is something you have to do on the weekend. So, so who actually had the idea? Was it combined between you and Daniel, or?
I mean, I guess technically I had the idea, but it was just kind of a seed. And I called him and I was like, hey, you know, because we've been talking about seeing that stuff just on Facebook, the same guys every day going out and taking pictures of a tailgate full of 2+ pound fish. And we'd always just talk about, like, why do these guys want to keep all those giant fish when there's, especially out of these small lakes like Daniel was talking about. And then, with Live Scope now you can go out and catch a nice chest full of eaters if you're looking for a fish fry or something like that. So, just in talking back and forth about that, we just kind of, what if we just come up with a logo and just as a talking point and just start talking to people about it and see what kind of reactions we get. And it's been really positive.
I think it's really taken on lately. I know, we have Matt, he's a guide, and you know, when you're a guide, your clients expect to catch limits every day. We kind of laugh about it. Got to catch limits, you know, and so that's what we see. So, Matt, how many fish do you think you caught last year?
Well, I'd say last year was down only because I caught COVID when I came home I missed the entire month of July. But you know, I caught anywhere from 25 to 30,000 fish.
But see, there's a difference though, you know, crappie do need to be kept. You know, that's an important thing. They're prolific breeders. They, you know, produce a lot of offspring, so they need to be managed for numbers as well. We're certainly not saying, you know, you don't want to keep fish or anything like that. It's very important to keep them.
I agree with Gabe 100% on that selective harvest, and I think that
That's
has
right.
to go along with the mission of Crappie Forever. You know, Chad and I don't know how many fish we released and did the Crappie Forever, you know, catching those big 275s, 262s, releasing them. And it just set a very sense of pride and some ownership and knowing the fact that you are doing your due diligence to keep this sport evolving and, you know, keeping the populations going. Although Crappie Forever was there to see me hold my personal best, I did bring one home. But we caught about 200 fish when I was down there. We kept 5 the very first day to eat that were eater-sized crappie for Granada, and then I kept 1 other fish. You know, so we released 194 fish in 4 days and had a ball doing it. You know,
Oh, yeah.
So you know, like you both mentioned before to me, you're not saying you can't keep your personal best,
No.
but you don't need to fillet your personal best. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be the best fish you eat regardless. I tell my clients, I was actually out there fishing today, and my client's like, I want to be pretty selective on my harvest today. He said, I want 10 fish. We're gonna have fish tonight. So boy, it rained on us all day long. We fished for about 3 hours, caught a ton of fish, and we were able to be so selective on the ones that we harvested because, you know, we don't want to outfish one class, you know, and I think that's the mission statement with Crappie Forever. You know, catch, photo, release. You know, I know that Daniel, Gabe, and Chad, all 3 of you do that daily. You know, you guys don't probably take as many pictures as I do, but I, as a full-time guide, you know, I got to have some pictures for people.
Oh, yeah.
And my story is kind of weird. I mean, I started tournament fishing before live scope. I had a friend say, hey, come fish a tournament with me. And I've always had a passion for crappie since I first held a rod. But growing up, I thought I could only catch them 1 time a year. And if I caught a crappie, I didn't know when I was going to catch another crappie. I kept every one of them. In 2019, when I figured out live scope and started catching fish there at Eagle Lake, Mississippi, just like your small reservoirs in Arkansas, I saw what I could do with the live scope on that ecosystem, and I immediately made the decision that day on the lake, I don't need to keep this fish. In 2019, I started releasing fish, and I had so much fun doing it. I had people yelling at me like, what is wrong with you? And, you know, they was like, why'd you throw that fish back? And I said, well, it was too big. And they were, well, what do you mean it's too big? I said, it's too big. And I got pleasure out of that. With that, I did some videos back then. I called a couple people out that were keeping a lot of fish, and I got unfriended and blocked on Facebook for it. But, you know, I was having fun with it. And since then, I've had one of them, you know, we come up and talk, and you know, we laughed about it, and we're friends on Facebook today. But what I'm seeing from 2019 to now is more and more people are releasing fish. Now, what Gabe and Daniel are doing is they're taking this platform with the clothing line and able to put it out in front of people. They have a shirt, and I talked to Gabe about this last night. On the back of it, it says "Scope responsibly."
Yeah.
And you know, I had a memory pop up on my feed yesterday and told Gabe about it. And I did a live video. I released a 286, just a 310. And I talked about crappie forever. This was a year ago, and everybody is against live scope. It's not live scope that's killing the lake. It's the sportsman. You don't have to keep all those fish. I've gone out and taken my wife, and you know, we're sitting there catching fish in the first 20 minutes, and she goes, "What's the limit?" And I said, "It's 15." She says, "If we were keeping fish, we would have been home 10 minutes ago." So it's growing more and more, and I really enjoy what Gabe and Daniel are doing with the tagging system. That's another way of putting it out in front of people. This past Saturday at Grenada Lake, I had a guy come up to me, I had my Crappie Forever hat. He goes, I got to tag fish. What do I do? You know, and I was like, hey, here's the guy, send him the video of the release. I mean, he was excited that he caught a tag fish.
And hey, Chad, real quick, go over what you're talking about and calling a tagged Crappie Forever fish.
So Daniel and Gabe have tags that are labeled Crappie Forever. It's got a phone number, and it's got instructions that says video release. These guys are offering up rewards. They also have Patrick Stone, Hayden Jeffries, I think Brad Chappell's doing some. You have on Grenada, Ross Barnett. I think some are on Archer Butler, Sardis, and Enid. Am I correct?
Yep.
Correct.
And so these fish were tagged and released, and Derek, Martin, and Dean and I had an opportunity to catch 5, and we were fishing near the guys that day, and we got them video released. It's a huge satisfaction. And I mean, now that people know these tag fish are out there, that is more than a 3-pound crappie right now. They're wanting those tag fish.
That was one of my goals when I just went down to Mississippi with Chad. I said, I want to catch a black nose, I want to catch a 3-pounder, and I want to catch a tagged fish. Those were 3 goals. And although we were unable to tag the fish, it was still nice to, let it go, let it go, let it go. And what you guys have started, Dustin, once I started talking to Dustin about Crappie Forever, he couldn't believe that it hadn't already started, talk about conservation for this beautiful sport of crappie fishing, like you referred to scope responsibly. You don't have to knife every fish you catch. You just don't have to. You give a bad name to an industry that is full of great people, just like the guys that invented Crappie Forever. I'm a huge fan. I've been an ambassador for about a year now, and I'm a huge enthusiast for young adults fishing. I always say, introduce a young adult to this beautiful sport of fishing and keep that legacy going. And that really parallels with the mission of Crappie Forever. And it's just been a great fit. The only reason we don't tag fish up here, and the tagging is for data, for growth, for length, weight, etc., how far they've traveled. we don't have the life expectancy, is what the district biologist told me. He said our life expectancy only 4 to 6 years. They don't feel like they would get enough in return. So I really wish that we could do that. But that program down in Mississippi and in any of the southern states, it seems to be just really, really working.
So, guys, can you explain that to me? Being here, I'm not familiar with the tagging program. Did you guys have to go through any certain steps to get the permission to do this with your guys' logos and such? And
Not in Mississippi. Some states, Arkansas being one of them, they don't. The Game and Fish Commission doesn't want people other than them tagging fish. Some states are a little bit more lenient about it than others. So as far as that goes, we did. And Patrick Stone hooked me up with the lady that makes all of his tags, and I've just communicated with her and ordered all of our stuff through them. They're actually up in Washington.
How many tags do you guys have?
Out right now?
Yeah.
A little over 200. I looked at it today, a little over 200, and we're getting ready to put quite a few more out in the coming months. So
what's the reward program that you spoke of here? You guys give away free stuff when they call in, or what?
Free stuff, and some of the fish actually have monetary rewards.
Bounties on them.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
Awesome.
But you gotta let them go, so it's not dead. It's alive only.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, you have to video the release to qualify. If you don't video the release, you don't get the reward.
Yeah, and the accurate measurements and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're taking that information in, and then you're passing that along to someone in particular?
Yeah, well, no, it's on our website right now. You can actually go look at all the fish that have been tagged, and then on the spreadsheet, there's another column that has the first round of ones that have been caught, information on those fish, and we've got it on out for a couple more, catch and release as long as it's released again. And we've already had, I don't know, 6 or 8 caught so far, and we just started in November doing it. Oh, I guess late October. Patrick tagged the first one.
But we really didn't put a lot of the tags have just been this year.
Still really new.
That's still really new. And we've got some exciting announcements coming up that's expanding the tagging program that we'll announce probably this week or next. And we're going to put a lot more tags out very soon with a lot more help.
Awesome.
And that tag kind of looks just like this. It's placed on the backside of that dorsal fin, and it's going to look like that. It's going to be identifiable. It's going to be more cylindrical all the way through, like a small straw, but it's going to be placed right back here at the end of the dorsal fins, and you're going to be able to see it. And are your guys orange or green?
They're actually like fluorescent yellow.
Fluorescent yellow.
And from the tag fish that I've caught from, Patrick Stone, he's had a tagging system. Grenada Lake Charters, they've also had some tags. And I've caught some of those tags. After a time, there's an algae that kind of grows on the tag itself. Mm-hmm. So it's when you catch it, I'm now making a habit to look versus just throwing it back so quick. So I'm taking a look now for those tags because normally I'm throwing them back just so quick. But it's really great. Make sure you get the measurements, the length measurements, and a weight. And these guys are updating their website. Patrick has put it out on Facebook. He does weekly updates. There's a biologist in Mississippi, Game and Fish, named Keith Mills. He did a podcast, and I watched his. It's 2 years old. And what I got out of it, it was 3 parts, and he talked about the crappie in Mississippi. He said a 12-inch crappie was 3 years old. And then the growth rate is kind of slows down a little bit. Not every crappie gets to be a 3 pound. It's kind of like I'm only 5'2" and Daniel's 6'7", 6'8" or something like that. The crappie are about the same way. the growth rates are a little bit different. So if you look at the data that the Game and Fish do, they're gaining data to look at harvest and fishing pressure, but sometimes their data seems a little bit late. These guys have the data, you know, they can approach the biologists and say, hey, here's what we collected, and help them out.
And that's one thing we really wanted to do, is make sure this information is public immediately and will remain public. No hiding, even if the results show something we don't want it to show. I mean, it doesn't matter. This is to help anybody. Anybody can look at it anytime. The almost Gabe updates it almost daily. If the fish is tagged that day, it's pretty much on there that day. If it's caught that day, it's on there. So, and it will be forever. And I'm excited in the next 2 years when we get 1,000 or more tags out there, to really this data start really piling in to see what we really get. I'm very, very excited to see what that looks like.
If we wait,
down there in the right, sorry,
go ahead.
You're down there in the right area to get some great data, and you got some great people representing the company that are going to be catching consistent fish. You'll be at 1,000 by November. You know, these guys they're really getting the fish and getting the data coming in now there. And as for me, I love looking at the numbers. I want to see how many times a certain fish was caught. I want to go back and I want to compare. Okay, in March, that fish was 3 pounds. It was caught again in September. It was 272, and watch the fluctuations and start to, identify, you'll learn a little bit about the size of the quality of the fish on your fishery just by the more data you guys are able to collect by these tags. And I really wish Illinois allowed it, because I would be tagging fish and letting them go on the daily just for this future next generation.
Well, I'm really hoping that once we're a couple of years in and we're getting some credibility and everybody understands what we're doing, that we can go to other states and say, look, this is what we're doing, and be allowed to do it. That we really want to expand it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We want this to be big, really nationwide would be great. I mean, there's no limit, no limit to it in our mind.
Going back to what you were saying, Matt, too, about seeing how many times a fish is caught, that's one of the things with this tagging program that we're wanting to show, is a lot of guys will say, once a fish gets 2.5 pounds, it's not reproductively viable anymore. It's as big as it's going to get. It's going to be dead soon. I hear so many people say that. And, what we want to show, right or wrong, is no, that's not true. That fish got tagged at 250. The next year it got tagged at 275. And guess what? Somebody caught a 3-pounder, in the future. And to show that those fish can be caught multiple times and, bring joy to more than one person. We've already had one 3-pounder caught twice.
In almost 2 weeks.
It was close together, but just showed you that 2 people enjoyed that fish,
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I was able to talk to Patrick. I know he does a lot of tagging for you. I said, Patrick, how fast have you caught a tagged fish since release? And he said it was about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He released the fish, and kind of the boat was drifting around, and he saw, hey, there's another nice one. And he got that thing caught that fish twice in 5 minutes.
And we really need to give a big shout out to Patrick Stone. Without him, this wouldn't be possible.
Yep.
He is our partner. It just wouldn't be possible to do this without him.
Yeah, you can't find a better person than Patrick Stone. I mean, I see him on the water all the time, and that man has a lot of knowledge about crappie from the tagging data and just catching so many fish. One of the things that I've kind of noticed is with lake regulations. We're kind of familiar with Lake Washington right now, Daniel, and we've seen Lake Washington go from a top 5 in the nation to now it's off the map. If we wait on our game and fish department, it takes years and years of data and everything else, and then they come out with new regulations, and a lot of times it's too late.
Yeah,
And-
Lake Washington is the poster child of this. Why we started this. Lake Washington was amazing. Every national trail, it's a small lake. Every national trail fished it multiple times. National championships there. Brad Chappell tells me, I think it was 4 or 5 or 6 3-pounders in 2 days or something he would catch there, long lining. I mean, and it is a shell. Go look at Magnolia Crappie Club's weigh-ins for the last 2 years on Lake Washington, and it'll just tell you what it is. And those are some really good fishermen fishing that lake. So
Yeah.
we are one of our big platforms is don't wait. We are the fish. We are the guardians of this resource right now. And if we want to pass it on to another generation, then we have to take it into our own hands and see. You know, if you fish Lake Washington a lot, you know what the lake needs, what it doesn't need. You know, if you fish a lake in Alabama and it's full of crappie and nobody ever crappie fishes there, that you need to take fish out. You see Lake Washington hurting. You don't need to keep a fish over 1.5 pounds at Lake Washington right now, in my personal opinion. And let's take some personal responsibility as fishermen, as sportsmen, and stewards of the land to do that ourselves.
And I fully agree. And just us being on the water, when we're releasing fish, and other people see it, it's kind of like setting an example. When Trey, my fun youth partner, first time he went fishing with me, I was like, hey, we're going to throw that fish back. And when he threw the fish back, it was like how many times it could make it somersault in the air. How you backflip them and stuff. And I was like, hey, that's not how we turn fish back. We don't want to hurt the fish. So now you see him, he's different when he releases his fish and stuff like that. I mean, there's 2 fish in my mind right now. They'll stick in my mind forever. And it's 2 fish that I killed. I didn't want to kill. And one of them, I boat flipped the fish, and kind of like Matt, I airmailed this thing over my head, and it landed on the deck so hard it quivered one time and died. And another time was, if you're fishing in the summertime and catching fish deep, you have to be careful bringing those fish up, because you're going to kill a lot of fish. The mortality rate in the summer goes up. And there was one, and I've watched videos on how to fizz fish. So I got this needle from Tractor Supply, and I'm going to fizz this fish. And when I did, he quivered one time and he left.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I didn't do that right. So it's a lot into, we're just releasing fish, but even in a tournament, I mean, I'm running G-Juice treatment. I fill my live wells with clean water out of the water hose, not lake water. Now everybody's like, well, the chlorine. Well, I'm running that G-Juice to take the chlorine out, but I like my live wells clean and clear so I can monitor those fish during the day to see if they're struggling. And I have pure oxygen run into my live wells. So it's like an aquarium in my live wells. I take very good pride in that. And, I don't over put fish in the live well. That live well may hold 30 fish, but I want the minimum amount of fish in that live well to ensure I can release them later. During the summer, I'll throw a bag of ice in each live well to keep that temperature down. Cooler water helps them get the oxygen. So there's a lot to it.
There's and I see a lot of people trying to do good, and it's July, and they catch a lot of good. You know, they have 5 or 6 2-pounders in there, and then at the end of the day, they're doing a video and they're pulling them out of the live well. Well, if it's the summertime and you're not fishing a tournament, we recommend you immediately release the fish. You know, it doesn't need to go in your live well, because crappie are very sensitive, especially in the heat of the summer down here in Mississippi or in the southeast.
You know,
and they're trying to do good. They just don't know, you know.
Correct.
you're right. And I think Chad said something about whenever you start to set an example of showing people, hey, I'm releasing this fish, get a quick picture. I've had people send me videos themselves. Hey, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught, and they turn it loose. And like, it's more prideful to them to turn that fish loose just as it was to catch it. And, you know, that means a lot. That your guys' message is spreading. And each time we talk about it on the lake, you know, I say, hey, what's your hat mean? And I'm able to go ahead and open the door to the next, you know, it's a perfect company, a perfect relationship, you know, just like with Flat Branch Outfitters and media, you know, they advocate for the next generation. You know, Dustin spends endless hours on the shores in the boat with me, learning each and every day. Some days we catch fish to eat, some days we don't, but we're, you know, this is always coming up. I always either have a neck gaiter on, I'll have a sweatshirt on, and it's just if you haven't heard of it, you need to check the website out. And I promise, keep the biggest fish you ever catch, but you will have a lot of gratification in knowing that you may have a relative catch that fish in a year, and it might be bigger.
Yeah, I honestly, I love what you guys are doing. I respect the hell out of it. I love the fact that you're saying, you know, the Garmin, the live scope has changed the game, and it's not going away. It's only going to grow. And what you guys have pointed out is exactly spot on. You're going to catch big. You just can't take all these big fish out and expect good things to happen. You know, if we want to hook our kids into something great, you know, in this beautiful sport of fishing, they have to be able to catch these big ones too, you know, so we can't overfish it. Like I said, I love what you guys doing. I want to be involved in some way, some facet. I love that the reward thing. Maybe we can put a package together where we'll give away some rods or something for a certain a bounty on one of those fish. I love that. But yeah, guys, once again, I'm love what you're doing.
And Grenada may be the #1 lake in the country. It's been holding that rank for a while. But talk to the guides that are fishing that every day, and what they will tell you, Eric Cagle's told me, Patrick Stone, Carlos Willis, they've all told me there's not the fish that were here last year.
Well, last year when they had that crappie tournament and everybody's seen those weights come in, I'm telling you, I bet those hotels just packed up during crappie season, because every fisherman in the country is going to Grenada and taking 4-pounders out of there.
And our biggest supporters are guides, you know, and a lot of these guys, first of all, we've had a huge support. We thought there would be a lot of backlash, you know, crappie fishing, but it really hasn't been the case. But the guides, I mean, most of these guides that you name won't even let you keep a 2-pound of fish over 2 pounds. You know, they'll tell you that before you start. We'll take some pictures of it. We'll tag them. We'll, you know, or if it's your personal best, you can take it home and mount it. But you're not going to keep a cooler full of 2-pounders with these guides anymore. Most of them. I'm not speaking for any one specific person, but the guides, this is how they make their living. They see before anybody sees what's going on. Yeah. And they are by far our biggest supporters.
I was talking to a guy one time that was trying to blame guides for all this stuff, and I said, no, those are the guys up front they know that they have this, the way they make their living, they have to protect this resource, and they're not going to let, you know, people just start cleaning out their lakes. So they were the ones that were kind of spearheading this movement. And we just kind of jumped on and took this approach to it all.
Hey, one thing that we have not talked about is the Crappie Forever products, and Matt kind of talked about it. He's got the hat and the shirt. I didn't have my shirt because all my shirts are at the fish camp in Grenada. But you know, the one thing I've enjoyed is the quality and durability of your clothing. The hats, by far, I mean, Derek brings down the top hat for me. I got a Magnolia crappie hat, but that Crappie Forever hat is my favorite. And even David and I, we kind of laugh about it, you know, which one we going to wear, the red one or the blue one? I'm like, you know, the red one, I have more luck in the red one. All right, we're going all red.
This one actually goes through the water. I got some that the one Gabe's wearing, that's my go out hat. So I have some that I have multifaceted, but the thing that, you know, as we're joking, you know, they put each and every dollar of the revenue of the apparel back into the business. They're not making money on this. And that's like exactly why I feel so honored to be an ambassador of this. These guys are giving back. I mean, we only have 24 hours to do what we're going to do, if it's for our family or for what it is. And for them to give that back, especially in a time like this where everybody's trying to make money, you know, for them to give this back, that's going to set a great foundation, just like Daniel said. And it's only going to blossom. You know, it's got a lot of positive reinforcements. It's got a lot of great people supporting it. You guys have really, I mean, I'm honored. I'm honored to be a part of it. Anytime I can do anything, I appreciate you guys giving away to all the promotions I do for the next generation. You know, that's exactly what it's about. And, you know, up here from Illinois to get to talk to you guys down south, you know, it's just, you know, I feel honored to even be recognized. So thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you. That's one of the best parts besides giving all this back is just we've met so many people doing this. I mean, I never dreamed, like Daniel said, we didn't really think that, we didn't know how the reception was going to be. And when we went to that first expo in Shreveport a couple of years ago, I was nervous because I was like, oh, everybody's going to laugh us out of there. And man, from the get-go, everybody we talked to, everybody we met, man, that's great. That's a great idea. And just blossomed from there, from, you know, meeting everybody.
And I think Chad mentioned it earlier there, but like, now I am a part of it, and I'm so thankful to be. And from Illinois, yes, sir. But some of the people, you guys that have your Crappie Forever emblem on, are some of the best crappie fishermen on the planet, and that's just fact. You know, and if you know you get them guys supporting it, and with their outreach, with their platform, and you know, and their influence, you know, just as Crappie Forever grows, I really think there's a great chance to just sky's the limit, you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I remember the first time I saw you guys was at a Magnolia tournament, Ross Barnett, Big Mama. And I was standing there getting ready to weigh my fish, and I look over, and there's these two guys wearing this red jersey. Crappie Forever had this Arkansas State emblem on it. I'm like, who's these professionals coming in here? You know, I'll never forget that day. But, you know, the times we've talked, it's always been fun. How can people get your merchandise? Because I'm telling you guys, if you get this stuff, you're not going to regret it. It is so comfortable.
Well, you can go to our website, crappieforever.com, and purchase it. We're in a few stores now, and hoping to be in more and more. We've had great success in our stores so far, and it's starting to spread a little bit. But the website, you can get everything from the website. You will not be disappointed. We go to great lengths to make sure it is top quality shirts, hats. This shirt right here is 2 years old. I wear it probably once a week. I mean, it's been washed hundreds of times. We go through millions of conversations per hat. This is our new hat that's been 6 months in the making, Gabe, I think, and at least 100 hours of conversation on. We go through every detail. We're not perfect, but we try our best to make sure you're going to love the gear you get. And just need more people wearing it. Just like Matt said, the whole point is to see the hat and ask the question, what is crop forever?
So
we'll keep putting it on our platform, our websites, all that. I guarantee you'll see more of that stuff. I just dropped me and Matt's first conversation we had about Crappie Forever today, and it's getting a good response. So,
absolutely.
yeah, that emblem sparks a conversation. Even my wife, as much as she's heard me talk about it, she goes, "What is that inside the fish? The red cross?" I'm like, CPR. It's first aid. We're here to keep the crappie alive and things like that. So whose idea was it to put the CPR first aid cross on the crappie?
I honestly don't remember.
I just remember messing with it on my phone, like taking a picture of a silhouette of a crappie just off of Google or whatever, and just using the edit tools and just playing with it and looking at colors and doing stuff. And that's just going back and forth about it
For months.
Yeah.
I mean, just even the name, just wanted to get it right the first time to try to convey what we're talking about. We do not do anything lightly. We're in it. We spend countless hours a week doing this, and we, like Matt said, we don't take any money, and we don't want any. We just want to help.
We spend countless hours arguing too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
about colors and emblems and all kinds of stuff.
Businesses are like a marriage. Yeah.
I've been around these guys, and I'm telling you, they got to be best friends around them. So I enjoy every time. I look forward to the next time we can get together.
Well, thank y'all for having us and helping us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Matt, you got anything else that you want?
I just want to say in closing, it's such an important platform right here to express that the next generation is more important than us. We've already experienced it. Now we have to cultivate and reiterate conservation, selective harvest. And I think that I truly believe in my heart that in 5 years from right now, everyone's going to be practicing better conservation, more selective harvest. And I do think that you guys could really pat yourselves on the back for the work that you've done. And like I say, I couldn't be happier to help spread the word.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's do it again. If you guys will do it again, let's talk soon.
We'd
Thanks.
love to.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Scope
Chad.
responsibly.
Scope responsibly.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, y'all
You too.
too.
Bye.
See ya.
All right.
Exit out of this thing.